It's Tanya TKO here. And as you know, I'm a self love specialist from TanyaTKO.com. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I am a life coach with a specialty in relationship coaching. And this past week, we've been talking about inappropriate touch. A little bit earlier today, I put up a video of Aquaman, aka Jason Momoa, and his split from Lisa Bonet a year after his video went viral of him rubbing on his daughter's chest. Now, personally, I've been stunned by the response that has come from people who are jumping out in defense of a man, one, that they do not know, two, regurgitating information from the internet that is not in full context, three, claiming that a video that we can all see with our eyes is has been debunked or altered. When they say that the video was quote unquote altered, the video was zoomed in. There was no CGI hand added. There was no fake hand on her chest. And the question is not whether or not he's abusing her, whether or not the touch was intimate in a romantic way. The discussion is about appropriate or inappropriate touch. That's what the discussion is about. And right now I have the live studio audience with us. Let me get the live studio audience up on the screen so that they can say hello. Let me get wow, there's so many people behind the scenes. Let me do this. I am going to let me I am going to there's a lot of people, but most of the people don't have their cameras on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the participants who don't have cameras on, and I'm going to allow the studio audience to come up and say hello. So you all can unmute yourselves right now. You can start unmuting yourselves, and we're just going to have a quick wave, and then I'm going to let you all come out,
Hello.
wave, and say hello. Hold on. I'm about to get it. I'm about to get it right now. If I can. All right. Say hello, everybody. Say hello. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome in. This is the studio audience.
Hi
Everybody
everyone.
is looking
Hello.
so great.
Hey
Welcome, welcome,
there.
welcome. All right. So what we're going to
Hi.
do is we are going to thank you all so much for
Hello.
being here. I want you to raise your hand in order of the people who want to come up and have this discussion. I think I'm going to have to put my headphones in to just make sure that the sound has fidelity. All right. So, who is up first? So, first person up, we have Erin, right? Let me
Hey.
get the view on speaker. All right. So, I need everybody to mute themselves. Let me get everybody muted. Hold on. Let me do this behind the scenes real quick because when it comes, like, sometimes people's hands hit, and so I'm going to get everybody muted, and then in order for you to unmute, I'm going to then unmute you. Okay. So Erin, come forward and let's have the discussion. Let's have the discussion. We have Hazel on the screen. Erin, I need you to say something so you can come up and be
Hey,
on.
hey, hey, hey.
Okay,
I'm on the
perfect. There you
screen.
go.
All
All
right.
right.
So my viewpoint is, like I said in the
Hold on, hold
comments
on, hold on,
earlier.
hold on. I got to get your sound to the audience. Apparently the audience didn't hear any of your clapping or any of that, but just know it was there. Now we have your
Oh,
sound. Now we have your sound. So go ahead, let's
awesome,
talk.
awesome, awesome. So like I put in the comments earlier, maybe it was late, I have no idea. But I'm hard of hearing. And so I've been lip reading for well over 10 years.
Really?
And yes. And so if you watch in the slow portion of the video where it's slowed down, you can see the girl says up. You can see the O and the P, you know what I mean? As far as reading lips, you can see that very, very clearly. And when
Okay.
she says stop and look up, it's not like she said something and then now she has something else to say. She said stop. She looked up at him and then she turned her view elsewhere. So the only thing
Mm.
she wanted to say to him was stop, and then she redirected her view elsewhere. And that was total evidence for me.
Got
Total
you.
evidence for me.
Got you. Got you. Got you. All right. So you, according to your lip reading, you saw op. Okay.
Op, that's stop. You don't see this, but you see op when you're lip reading, and
Mm,
you know
okay.
a person is saying stop.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate that. And I didn't know you were hard of hearing.
Yes, yes, I am. That's why you always see me with earphones.
Oh, so when you were at the party on New Year's Day and the ladies was trying to get with you, you was macking, or what was going on? Or you was like, "Oh, I don't know what you're saying cuz I'm in a relationship."
Well, that too. But at the same time, it would have been better for me to communicate with her through text, so I can hear better.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna let you get off easy with that one. All right. Well, thank you for adding that. So next one up, we have Joanna. Joanna, come forward. I'm gonna get my lights on in the back. This is not it wasn't supposed to be an official show, but let me go ahead and get my lights on. All right, Joanna. Oh, where's Joanna? I lost you. Joanna, we lost you. Sorry. So next up we have Lulu. Oh, there's Oh, well, you know what? We're gonna take Lulu next. Lulu, come forward, and then Joanna will get you afterwards, okay?
Hey, how y'all doing? Can y'all
Hi.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey,
So my
Xavier got
take
his
on it
plant.
I
I need
grew up and
everybody
I've
to
seen
mute. I need everyone to mute. Sorry. Here. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. I need you to unmute, and then I need everybody else to mute. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Lulu, unmute, please. All right, there you go.
I grew up seeing a lot of strange things. I didn't know that a lot of my family members were being abused. A lot of the times with me in the room, not knowing and it's a hard thing. It's tough to go through, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know unless you've seen signs. And when you see things like that, you got to take it serious. Even if you don't think that he meant it in a way like that, you still got to say, hey, that's just not what we do. That's what it boils down to. What is an appropriate touch for your child? At what age should you still be bathing them? At what age should you still be doing these things for them? At what age should they be independent? And
Mm.
it just looks sus. It just looked off and out of place. I don't know. Something about it just didn't sit right in my spirit. Now, I don't know if this is the case, if this is what he did or he didn't. I know from my experiences that, I mean, you as a woman, when you look at a man and what he's doing and what he's not. 99% of the time you could tell, but it's not something that a young person would understand. It
Yeah.
takes time, and sometimes you go through things. Somebody had to go through something for you to know that, hey, it's wrong and it's just not what we need to be doing. So it's just really tragic that this happened, and it's tragic when it happens to all kids. So I don't know about this one. Uh, I don't know. It just sits bad in my spirit. I think he's sus. Um, that's my take on it. I gotta go.
Yeah, well, you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Thank you. My question, though, to you before you jump off is what are your thoughts about all of the adults? And I understand that you say children don't know, but what's your thoughts to all of the adults who are denying what it is that we're seeing with our own eyes? Hold on, you got to unmute. Let me get you to unmute. Sorry, you have to unmute, babe.
It wouldn't allow me to do it, but
No, that's fine.
you know, adults, you know, see these things and they've been so conditioned growing up. They've been conditioned to think that these things are okay because they see it happen in their family and they don't really know because a lot of times people don't speak up. So, maybe they did fondle, the little girl, but maybe did get abused. So a lot of these things they don't see as inappropriate because it's normal, just like it's normal for women to smack each other on the tail, but if a man came up and did that, it would be different. It's just It's about how you was raised and what influenced you
Got you.
and what influenced your knowledge. So therefore, a lot of these people, women, men who are on here to his defense, and a lot of them that are not, a lot of what they went through dictates what is appropriate and what's inappropriate. And I've learned that people have different levels of what they feel is appropriate and not. And that's where they'll stand. They'll stand on what they feel is appropriate, not based on what they've been through and their knowledge. So everyone's just seeing it from their own understanding and from their
Got you.
own, upbringing.
Got you. Thank you
I
so
think
much.
it's wrong. My upbringing is dead wrong.
Thank you. And so, last question though. You said that you were in the room as a child while people were being abused and you didn't know that they were being abused. What are some warning signs now that you have an adult's mind? What are some warning signs or some things that people can look out for to know if abuse may be happening?
Just what in a baby or child at an age that looks inappropriate. Too much attention on one child and not the other. You know, seeing different your child act differently to people. Not wanting to hug or want to touch. I remember you had a show where you said, stop forcing your kids to hug people they don't want to
Yes.
hug. They have a reason why they don't feel things like that. Little subtle things. Just people, the kids wanting to hide their clothes or you finding them throwing out their undergarments. A lot of the times, that's also it.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
women, little girls, they will try to hide it if especially if they feel like their life's in danger. So just be looking out for changes in them that just doesn't seem normal.
Got you. Thank you so much. We appreciate your input was so necessary. Thank you. All right. Joanna, we want to hear from you
Okay,
next
the
time.
only thing
Yes.
I was going to say was that a lot of people in the comments earlier were upset, and I feel like they're upset because of the fact that he is considered Aquaman. At the
Yes.
end of the day, he's still a man. He still does whatever he do. No telling what has been going on, but we should not put people on a pedestal so high to where we feel like they can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So from what can
I
you
can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me. You should be able to hear me. Oh, okay. What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, you were on
Oh.
mute.
Oh, I don't
Mhm.
know how I got muted. Mother to mute myself up. Yeah, so can you be in the middle of the screen, please? Move over just a little bit so that you're in the middle. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So
All
that's
right.
just my take.
Yeah, so how do people separate the person that they know and love on screen from and accept them that as a human being, as any typical person?
I think that just comes with maturity. At the end of the day, the person that they're playing is just in character. You don't know that person behind the screen. You don't know them. They could go home to a dark house in a room full of children locked up. You don't know. You can't put all
Yeah.
of your trust in somebody who you physically don't know and can't touch. That man wouldn't know you if you walked on side of him.
Right. So you think that the people who are defending just because they love the Aquaman character, like the people who
Correct.
defended R. Kelly defended him because they just loved his music. And
Right.
so
Because technically they don't know Jason Mimosa. They only know what's written down about him. They only know what they hear about him, but physically know who he is. Wouldn't know him if they wouldn't know him if he was an Aquaman. He was no one famous.
right. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So there are people who are commenting. And if you want to call in, I'm going to open up the phone lines in just a moment. But there's some more people behind scenes that want to speak up. So we have Queen Darnicia. Come forward. Come forward.
Hello. So
Yes,
my take,
welcome.
I think, thank you. I think that we need to stick to what we was talking about. And the thing was, you were talking about inappropriate touch. It was
Mm-hmm.
not about him personally. We needed to have the dialect about kids and inappropriate touch. I
Yes.
myself have two girls, and I make it a point to talk to them about appropriate, inappropriate touch. They know their private part by the correct name, not
Mm-hmm.
sugar names. And so if they were to say somebody touched them, they can say, hey, they touched my vagina, or they rubbed
Right.
this, or they, you don't give them these sugar pie names that we want to make it sound cute for the kids. When they're trying to tell somebody they're being harassed or touched, the person don't know what they're talking about. So that's one
Yes, we
thing.
talked about that in the video with Jim Jones and his mother, and how she was over there talking about a poom kosh and this, and she was like, I taught my children, and she was going on and on about all of this amazing things that she taught her children, but she didn't teach them the right names for the genitalia. And like that story I told of the little girl who went to school, and she was like, my uncle, ate my cookies or put his mouth on my cookies, and the
Yeah.
teacher was like, well, it's sharing is caring. Just give him more next time. And the little girl was trying to speak up about abuse.
Also, we have to teach our kids about privacy. My daughter, my baby girl, she's 5, and she knows about privacy. She knows when she goes to the bathroom, the door should be closed. She knows not to lock herself in there, but she knows the door is supposed to be closed. Nobody should be coming in the bathroom with you while you're taking a bath, using the bathroom, things of that sort. Also, we have to teach our kids not to sit on people's lap. Once they get
Mm,
of a certain age, they should not be sitting on men's laps, especially girls, boys too, because people molest both girls and boys. It's a
mm-hmm.
lot of dialect we as parents have to have with our kids. It's just important. It's very important. You have to have
Yeah,
this
you know
dialect
what?
because
Well,
a lot
let's
of
let's
times,
let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about this real quick. Because is nudity the issue? Is the bathroom door being locked the issue? Is the lap the issue? Or is awareness, is having these conversations, is looking and being diligent, because we're not diehard about the bathroom doors in my home. You know what I mean? But if there's
yeah.
somebody who needs their privacy, we know to respect that boundary. But sometimes, like all throughout the pandemic, I don't know if I closed the door 4 times. You know what I mean?
What you're at home, most of you might be at home by yourself, or it's a family member that you feel comfortable. But I think at a young age, we have to teach our kids about these privacy because they do go to school. And if they're so used to the door being open when they go to school, they ain't gonna feel no way about the door being open at the school when they go to the bathroom. So we have to still have these conversations, but it's also, like you said, appropriate touch, inappropriate touch. That child looked like she did not feel comfortable. Now, we're not saying he did it intentionally. I'm not saying he meant to touch her that way. I don't know what's in his mind, but you can see that she did not feel comfortable with him touching her there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's all I
Well,
have
you
to
know
say.
what? You bring up some good points. You bring up some good points about private time, lapse, and all that other stuff. Because I the one thing that I don't want to convey is, I don't want to convey that there's anything the matter with nudity. I don't want there to convey that there's anything wrong with our bodies, or that there's shame, or that people are implicitly guilty, of anything before, you know what I mean? But then also there's vigilance. Like, how do you keep your children safe if nudity is not? Because when I went to the Caribbean, when I was young, boys and girls, they would go to the beach, people would be naked, the children would be naked. It was no big deal, et cetera, et cetera. But then also, how do we keep our children safe? Because not everybody has a pure mind.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know what?
And
Thank
for
you
me,
so
it's
much. Thank
having
you.
open dialect.
Thank you so much for adding that. Thank you so much. All right. So, my question, anybody else in the studio audience, it's we have a 10-minute countdown on the, but you know what to do. You know to refresh and click your links again. Let's give a special thank you to the people who are in the studio audience, because these are the people who are part of the text notification squad, and they have come over, like, we have our conversations behind the scenes, and they came over to discuss this with me. And I said, you know what, let's maybe we can go public and have this discussion. some of the people who came forward, listen, why don't we do this? If you have a comment that you want to add, what we're going to do is go ahead and raise your hand. We have 9 minutes left on the clock. So, Stefan, did you have something that you wanted to add? Okay, come forward.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to the other knockout when you asked her, is there any signs that we can be aware of? She brought up the awareness that maybe they are hiding undergarments or they don't want to be near the predator. Here's another thing. If that child has a inappropriate attachment to the predator, that can be a sign too. Because when I was molested, I had a inappropriate attachment to my predator. I wanted to be around him more because he
Oh.
made me feel good, but I didn't know what that was at the time.
Oh, you know what? That's really interesting because I remember I was watching a documentary about, this guy who used to invite children over to play video games, and they really loved this guy and they wanted to be over there. They wanted to go. And then the video games, then pornography started coming up on the screen between the video games. But he was cool. He had snacks and stuff at his house. And so pay attention to children wanting to be around and having an inappropriate attachment. What are some other? So you said that you were abused when you were young and you didn't realize. How did you come to the realization that you were abused? And what are some things that adults around you, besides the inappropriate attachment, could have paid attention to?
Um, I realized that I was abused when I got older and I started to read about, molestation. I would hear it on TV. I would hear it from other kids or adults. When I realized that, I was asking myself, did my mom knew? Did my mom know? Did my dad know? And last year, I had a conversation with my mom, and it was really hard to bring it up because it was really basically me saying, "Hey, this happened. Did you know about it?" And in the car, she said, yes, it happened, and it happened once. So we had never had this conversation. I'm 23. This happened when I was probably maybe 5. So I said, well, why didn't you protect me? Why didn't you do anything that you could do to make it known that you don't touch my son? You do not do that to him. I mean, the trauma of that, I still don't think I might be over it because talking about it, I have a physical reaction. My heart is racing just talking
Oh,
about it. But it's like, I think in the Black community, my mom is white, but she has a preference for Black men. Well, I think in the Black community, I think we have this habit of sweeping stuff under the rug. Oh, hell no, someone's gay. Everybody's talking about it. We know, we're aware of it. But when it becomes molestation, it's like people say, Tanya, don't talk about it.
so she's saying this happened one time.
She said it happened one time. And I remember I kept asking her when I was younger, how come I can't go back over there? How come I can't go back over there? Because I had that inappropriate attachment. She wouldn't tell me. But now I know why she wouldn't let me go back over there, because he abused me. And I must have said something to her that let her know, uh-oh, he's been touched.
But what makes her think that only happened one time if she heard about it from you?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, from my word, what I recall, it only happened once. Thank God.
Oh, okay, got you.
It didn't
But you
happen
said, but you
over and
said in the
over.
black community that they sweep this under the rug, but your mother's in the white community.
But she grew up around the Black community. She didn't deal with many white people. Like she didn't fool with her own race. Like she just hung around Black people. Like she was accustomed to the Black culture, basically.
Well, it's funny you say that because when I was looking up in the Department of Justice crime stats, when we were talking about what types of people create what types of crime. And in the white community, molestation, rape, those, like in the black community, violence and gun charges and robbery and that type of stuff was prevalent. But in the white community, touching and incest and that type of stuff was far greater. So it makes me wonder, yeah, if you know what, the I talked about that in the video with, it was a video that I did when the pandemic first started, and I have the exact link to the Department of Justice's website where they talk about which race does what type of crimes. So I can imagine that the hush, I don't know. I don't know if why it was, how it made its way there onto the Department of Justice is because they spoke up, and in the black community they don't speak up. I don't know, but I can imagine it on the Department of Justice that it's corrected for non-disclosure. But yeah, it was much larger in the white community, and I was stunned to see how the disparity in the types of crimes, like violent crimes and stuff like that. Like we took that hands down, but when it came to that type of stuff, it was shocking. Like the data is shocking. So I don't know. I don't know if I know that in the black community that hush hush is bad, but I don't know if she got that from the black community, because white
Right.
people are constantly in denial, constantly not really speaking up, and white women not speaking up for themselves, and also pretending as if things that happened didn't happen. So I don't know. We would have to explore that one a little bit more. I know the data says something a little bit different, but thank you. Any last thing you wanted to add before we take the next person?
I also wanted to say, because this is his daughter or something, and I'm not a child or kid, but I have a white uncle. My white uncle. Recently, he sent me a genitalia picture of himself through my grandma's messenger. And so it just kind of, it's mind boggling. I don't know how to process it, because it's like we've been talking about incest, we've been talking about pedophilia, and it's all like overwhelming, you know what I mean? Because it's
Well,
just
I'm
coming out of the
sorry.
woodwork.
Was this an accidental photo? Did the phone drop when he was in the bathroom? How did his genitalia get into your grandmother's phone?
No, he must have used her phone, and he took the picture in the living room and sent it to me. And I was like, what the hell?
Hold
You know, and
of his genitalia. Did it immediately
yes,
delete or did it stay there?
I guess it's gone. I wasn't going to keep it on my phone.
No, did he write you? Was it sent by mistake? I need to understand this.
He sent the picture, he didn't say anything.
I'm hoping that thing got sent by mistake, that he meant to
Me
send it
too.
to Stephanie, not a
Right.
Stephen, because this was because that right there, that is not with your granny's phone. He need to.
Yes.
That's just this. You need to have a conversation about him. Be like, Unc, what's this? What's with the junk? Like, Unc, I seen your junk.
Well, and apparently he has a preference for trans, and I didn't even know about this. So it makes me wonder, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need to have the conversation, because this is too much for me. This is too
Yeah, it's
much.
too
We need to
much.
have that convo, because I need to know who he meant to send that to. That was something else. I don't know. I don't know. Listen, you know what? For those of you who are just coming in and you don't know what we're talking about this video that I did right before this one earlier today about Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet, and this inappropriate touch video that I showed. So they're getting a divorce. The video of him touching his daughter's chest went viral last year. And after it went viral, a year later,
March 4th,
a year later is when they decided to file for divorce. The video happened in 2018, 2019, but it went viral last year. And a year, and so Lisa Bonet, they say she doesn't have a TV. She doesn't, her family didn't have smartphones, and that she didn't even go on the internet, right? Until the pandemic. And then in her separation statement, she spoke about how the pandemic, and the stuff that took place during the pandemic ended up, ending her family and stuff like that. So I'm interested in I wish that we knew more, but we don't, and that's not really the point. The point is I'm going to get the I'm going to get everyone back on the in the on the Zooms, right? The point is inappropriate touch. That's the point. The point of the whole video is having the discussion about what type of touch is appropriate and what type of touch is not appropriate. All right. So, you know what? I want to take a few phone calls. I want to take a few phone calls, and then after that we're going to go back to the studio audience. I want to hear what some of you out there have to say, because there's some people who are like, "Oh, Tanya, you're going to get sued, this, that, and the other." And I'm like, that's fine. I would rather get sued in defense of a child than to err on the side of leaving a child vulnerable. So I did my part by having the discussion about what appropriate and inappropriate touch is. So let's go ahead and get these phone lines open. Give me just one moment, you all. Let me open the phone lines. This is the number going across the screen, 323-488-3149. And the phone lines are open, so you can call in right now, and I will take your call live on the air. And then after that, we're going to jump back over to the studio audience. I see Ashley has her hand up. Ashley, where's your earrings? Go grab your earrings, girl. She's backstage right now, and she got her knockout earrings, but she ain't sporting them for the show. She said she was gonna sport them for the show. All right, so I'm waiting for the first caller to call in, 323-488-3149. We're gonna take a call, then we're gonna jump back to the studio audience. We're gonna hear what Ashley has to say, and then after that, after the studio audience, we're gonna jump back and take another phone call. So we're gonna alternate between the two. Well, you know what? Listen, there's no phone call in right now. So come 323-488-3149. There's a little bit of a delay. So I'll give it another moment before I jump over and take Ashley's call. So special shout out to the text notification squad who is participating in the live studio audience today. Our first call is coming in. Welcome. You're on the air live with Tanya. What is your name? Hi, I can't hear you. Say your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Melissa. I had to turn the stuff down.
Hi, Melissa. Hi. So talk to us. What's your comment today?
I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about the inappropriate touch.
Uh-huh.
I as a child was a victim to a lot of inappropriate touches from a few gentlemen that were family friends that we were supposed to call uncle.
Oh, wow.
And it as a child, I knew something was wrong. And I spoke on it. These men used to put me on their lap, the other girls in the house on the lap, bounce us, let us sit on their laps to drive, rub their hands up under our shirts, on our backs, bare skin, 5, 6, 7-year-old girls, but they were friends of the family. So all the women, there was a lot of girls in this family. And they used to jump from house to house. So one day I went to my mom and I'm like, Ma, this, I don't really like this. Like he does this one does this. Is this, I mean, this doesn't feel comfortable to me.
Right.
And she says, oh, honey, girl, you'll be all right. They're just being nice. They're just being friendly.
Oh.
Okay. Fast forward. My best friend loved the mess out of this man. Fast forward till she's 14. Come to find out, she's having sex with him now. Mind you, he's almost 40. So she comes and tells me, Melissa, guess what? Guess what? He loves me. He don't love you, girl. That's very inappropriate. I went straight to her mother.
Yeah.
That family
Totally.
hated me for years for telling on
Why?
that.
Why? They hated you.
Because it was a lie. I was lying. I was trying to cause drama because the women in the family liked these men. They looked at these men like a catch. Like,
Oh.
They've been around so long, 8, 9, 10 years. But yet they never dated. One of them was married to an aunt, but the other one never dated any of the women.
He just went from
And
house to house bouncing children.
yes, playing on his guitar, making all the kids laugh. He never wanted to be with the adults. Mind you, both of these men were drinkers, heavy drinkers.
Mm.
Like I said, fast forward years down the line, my best friend turns 14. She's starting to have sex with him. Now the family hates me because I spoke on it.
Did it ever
Fast
come
for-
out that it was true?
I'm about to fast forward
Mm-hmm.
20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
20 years later, both of these men now are in prison because it took almost 9 other family members when they became adult women to finally come out and say that this is what happened with these men. 9 girls in the family, 9 of them.
Wow.
9 of them.
9. And it could have been nipped in the bud. And meanwhile, he was able to run roughshod for decades.
Yes, and I said something when we were 6 and 7 years old. It took
Well,
20
let me ask
years.
you let me ask you this question. That's crazy, but thank you for standing up and speaking up. Thank you. How did what evidence did they have that got the men convicted?
What it was the testimonies of these girls.
Okay.
It was the testimonies. It took one of the girls the older girls became adults. And what happened was they started having little girls.
Oh, and then they were like, you ain't coming around my child.
Then,
remember what you did to me.
Right. So, but they kept their mouth shut until one of their little girls got touched by one of them.
Shut your damn mouth.
Yes, that is when it finally came out. It took for these molested girls to become grown in their 20s, 30s, and had kids, and these men were still around, and it took one of those kids to be touched before anybody said anything.
And then she was like, oh, I believe you now because I know it happened to me. Well, you know what? I'm glad that they went down. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, we got to wrap it up.
What's so funny is none of the other girls knew that this man was touching any of the other girls either. It wasn't until it all came out that was like, oh yeah, he touched me too. Oh yeah, we did. Oh, he did that to me too. Oh yeah. It took these women, they were 13, 14, 15 years old, but these men had been around since basically we were born in 5, 6 years old. And it took them almost into their 20s and 30s to have kids for it to finally come out.
Yeah.
And to only find out that they've done it to all of these girls.
Thank you. And thank you. And race of the men, race of the women?
White. I am a white woman. The family was white. All of the girls were white, and these were white men. Yes, it happens. So I listen to your show all the time, and I hear all of the bad stuff that happens in the community. I've only been raised in the community, but when I tell you, it is so much of the same things going on, so much, and we're not allowed to talk about it because even our parents tell us to shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not abuse. If that man hits you, you shut your mouth like a woman and you take it. You know what I mean? Like it's so much.
Thank you. You know
so
what? Tell us your name again.
Huh?
Tell us your name again.
My name's Melissa.
Melissa, thank you so much for calling in. Your words were powerful and needed. Thank you. We're going to jump over to the live studio audience right. Oh my goodness. I hung up by mistake. I was trying to turn off the phone lines. But Melissa, we appreciate you calling in. We're gonna jump over and we're going to take Ashley right now. Ashley, come forward. Let's hear what you have to say. Come forward, Ashley. Unmute
Oh, can you
yourself.
hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Oh, look at
Okay.
your, where's my earrings? I'm up on this. Let me get my earrings together, doggone it. They look good on you, girl. Let me see them. Pull the hair back. Let's see.
They're not bad when I have my hair down, but when my hair's up, they look way too big.
Yes, she has on the 70s. I have on the 80s size door knockers. There are a few available on the website right now if you want to go get them and support the show. But let me get mine in, of course. Okay. So Ashley, come forward, talk to us. So what is your input on the conversation we're having today?
I just want to touch on what Joanna was saying earlier and saying that discernment is a way to strip away the role of an individual. You have to strip away the role or the perceived role that they have and see what's behind it. So you have to strip away his status.
Yes.
And try to get to see what's underneath.
Yeah, as well as the attraction, because it seemed like even with the last caller, these women were attracted to these men, and they kept these men around the family, bouncing little girls around on their laps, having taking them.
You have to really be able to strip away everything that you see and that one presents when you first meet them, and try to see who they are as a person without what they show you. As who, like, because when we are first meet people, we are perceived a certain way, or we show a certain, or we act how we want to be perceived, depending on the person, especially if it's someone who's like a narcissist or somebody who is not honest. You know what I mean? They'll want to be perceived a certain way.
Yeah.
You have to work with discernment to try to strip away those roles and see what's really underneath. See the soul, the true soul.
You know what? That's good commentary. But how do we apply this in real life? Like, how do you see a person who is big and strong and attractive and muscular and desirable and all of these things, and accept that a person can be those things and some other things as well?
It is a good point. It can be very hard, and it takes practice and everyday application of learning how to do that. One way is someone's eyes. So like, I've heard that we come back many times through many lifetimes, so all past lifetimes, but what never changes is your eyes. So that's how you that's how you see people and recognize those that you've spent time with in other past lifetimes.
Okay, so
is that your eyes never change.
Okay, so you look into a person's eyes. So, but the thing is, I feel like that would take a certain level of awareness to like really look into a person's eyes and be like, you know what? Because I can imagine that the type of woman and women and men who are making excuses for this inappropriate touch are not very aware to begin with. So I don't know. What do we do about that?
It leads back to self-care and like practice. And literally you have to know your own self, strip yourself bare, know your own roles, and practice and work on yourself. And then once you know yourself really well, you'll be able to do those things and strip away from other people.
Well, okay, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. Let me ask you this question, though. What can a person do who is not aware, and they don't know that they're not aware, but they have a person around their child who may be forming an inappropriate relationship with them? How does this person who is so enamored with this other person, how do they, if they don't even know that they're not aware, how do they protect their children?
Oh, I don't even know. If they're not aware and they can't even see it, I don't think I have an answer for that one. to be
What are
honest.
some things that anybody can look for, whether you're aware or not? Do you have any input on that? What can they look for?
Well, okay. I think most of what was already announced. Too much attachment between like, or like if some guy is looking at my girls, it they you can just I feel like you would feel that, in your heart it's an inappropriate look, or the way they're staring, or the things they're doing.
Got you. Got you.
But
You know
maybe that's
what?
just me, because
I
I'm
got
very in
you.
tune with it.
Yeah, I got you. I remember I was
Like,
in
go with your gut.
yeah, I was in Virginia 2 years ago walking with some little girls. Well, a young lady and a little girl. And this man had the nerve to make comments on my body parts. And when I tell you, I turned around in that parking lot and cussed him the fuck out. And he didn't understand why I was cursing him out. But don't you dare, don't you dare try to make little girls comfortable or become accustomed to sexual harassment, especially on the streets. And when I tell you, I cussed him like a dog in the street. And what those little girls saw was they saw a woman advocating for herself against the inappropriate advances of a man, some random man. And I was willing to catch a beat down out there if need be, but it was not going to go down on my watch that these men, while I was in the presence of children, in the presence of goddesses, little princesses, that they would try to objectify me. And so I guess you're right. You're right. You're right. If there's a man who is attempting to bring a certain energy around little girls, there's a problem. There's a problem. It's all right if you find me attractive, but you do that during adult time, not in the presence of little impressionable girls where you are salaciously speaking of your predilections. No. Ashley, thank you so much for participating in today's conversation. You look banging with your door
Thank you.
knockers on, girl. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
We have another caller coming up next in the studio audience. It looks like we have Nettie, who wants to come forward and add some commentary. Nettie, come
Yes, and
forward.
watching that. Hi, knockouts.
Hey, cutie pie.
Um, and watching that video earlier, it kind of triggered me
Yeah.
because I'm an OG, and back when I was growing up, I grew up in the open door era where you didn't lock your doors, and I had an uncle come into the home and fondled me. And so when they would see me, they would, always try to get me alone or try to get me to come to the house to babysit or things like that. So, and during that time, you're too afraid to tell. You're scared because you're going to be perceived as the one who initiated all of this.
Right.
Or you thought that way anyway. So in seeing him touch that little girl, I mean, if I could have reached through the screen and choked that man, I would have done it. But it's just you're living out of fear as a young woman, and you're trying to hide from this person, as everybody says. You try to stay away from them, but you're thrown in situations sometimes because the adults doesn't know. So you're thrown in situations where you have no control, like you go babysit. And I would go babysit. Him and his wife would go out, but he would come back home and molest me in his home where his children were. But I was too afraid to tell anybody. So, I call it grooming. So what he was doing was trying to, I felt like grooming her to see if she would like not say anything, not react or anything of that nature. So at that moment, I felt very proud of her. And I felt like this was an actual video. Um, but we do have to have open dialogue with our children. We have to be able to allow them to come and say whatever they need to say to us,
Yeah.
not judge it, believe children, because
Yeah.
children that know how to lie. They don't know the difference between the truth and the story. So at least if they come to you with something, at least investigate.
Yeah. You know
So
what? That's
that's
the
my
thing.
take.
That's the
It
thing
was a
that
trigger
is
for me.
that's the thing that is so stunning to me. Why are people so against asking the questions, investigating? What's the matter with investigating? You know what? But you know what? The thing about it is, I have never seen a person who was an abuser admit the abuse. There's always some other reason. So if you do investigate, the person is going to lie anyway. So, but what can you do?
But there are other ways of investigating. Generally, yes, an adult will say, I wouldn't do that, or I'm not going to do that. It then becomes paying very close attention to how this person is acting around your child or acting with any child. You kind of have to sit back and watch, but ensure that don't put that person in that predicament or in that situation again. But be mindful of how that adult or whoever the pedophile is, react to that person. Or if they looking at them, you're in a room, kids in the room, and you notice, like they say, staring at that child, and your child is feeling uncomfortable and coming close to you. Those are things that gives you, those are like signs of something is not right with that child, because they don't even like being looked at by that person.
Yeah,
You don't
what?
just
That's a good point. And you know what? I'm going to follow up on that and say this, right? Let's say your child does come to you and says that something inappropriate happened, and you go to investigate. You ask, you speak to this adult one on one, and they're like, "Oh no, why would she just mad that I didn't let her drive my car or whatever. I didn't give her extra ice cream or whatever, right?" Okay. Your child still told you something. Why would you allow your child to be around this person again? Your child does
I
not have to
wouldn't.
interact with that person. You may not have enough evidence yet to go to the police, but
right.
Do you tell other family members, listen, this is what Lil Nettie told me? Do you tell other family members? Do other family members then, because I see what happens when you even try to have the discussion, because people were coming out on my video attacking me.
They
I'm
were.
wrong for this. Can't you see the video was altered to this moment? And I saw somebody in the comment just a moment ago say that they felt the video was altered. To this moment, nobody can show me any video other than the two that I put up. And the complaints that people had on the internet about the video is that the video was cropped. We showed the uncropped version.
Right. It looked, it didn't look altered to me. The girl looked very uncomfortable, and he looked, like everyone was saying, he looked as if, I hope she doesn't make a scene, and I hope no one sees this. No one's paying attention. That what that little girl should have done, and she probably wouldn't, because that's her father, was scream out, "Pop, what are you doing? Dad, stop." Any of those things. Even though she said stop, as the young lady said, and you can see she did say something to her father, but it was as if he was like, nothing is happening. Don't look here. And I'm glad whoever took the video got the video. It was not altered. He is a pedophile. And if they don't stop it now, she's not going to be the only little girl he touched inappropriately.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you saying that. I will say this. We don't know if he's a pedophile. We don't know. We don't know whether or not he had malintent. We don't know. But what we do know is that the touch was inappropriate. You know what I mean? I don't know what his intention was. I don't know whether or not he wasn't paying attention and he thought maybe that was her shoulder or whatever, but the child stopped him. She wasn't comfortable with that type of touch, and thus the touch was inappropriate. It's as simple as that.
Right. It was very inappropriate and it made her uncomfortable. And I'm glad that she stopped it, because we don't know how. I mean, he was so excited. He was just, I don't know, but that was the wrong kind of excitement on his part.
Yeah.
And made the young lady uncomfortable. And I appreciate her at that point standing up for herself.
All right. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for coming forward and adding your commentary. We are going to open up the phone lines and we're going to switch back to the phone lines right now. And so, studio audience, the next person who wants to come up, go ahead and raise your hand. And if you don't know how to raise your hand, ask inside of the chat area inside of the program how to raise your hand so that I can get you up next. The phone line is open again, 323-488-3149. 323-488-3149. I'd love to hear from somebody who thinks that it was no big deal that he was rubbing on his daughter's chest or belly. Who thinks that it was no big deal? I'd love to hear from somebody who feels that way, because there are some people who are threatening me, saying that I'm going to get sued, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, bring it. I know what I saw and I'm speaking up on it. You can't stop me. You're in the air live with Tanya. What's your name?
My name is Z.
Your name is Izzy?
No, Z.
Z, hi Z. I need you to just turn down whatever, because I'm hearing an echo. I need you to talk to me through the phone. I just hear an echo in the background,
I apologize.
okay?
I had it on speaker because it was ringing. Is that
Oh, no,
better
that's
now?
quite all right. Yes, absolutely. So go ahead, Z.
We've spoken before about this, Miss Tanya, and I'm also one of your text notifications. I just didn't get a chance to get into the Zoom meeting for the backstage.
You can get in there now.
Okay.
But you can go ahead and talk.
Do I have to be on camera?
Well, go ahead and talk on the phone then, because yes, to come forward you have to be on camera. So go ahead, talk, Z. Talk to us.
But I see a lot of people talking about, well, I watch my children. I keep them off of men's lives. You have to watch your children. You can't invite that energy around your house. Listen, it can happen at school. It could happen when you are taking them to gymnastics and the gymnastics teacher or ballerina teacher. It could happen by another child who's been inappropriately touched or taught to be touched inappropriately.
Yeah.
What the problem is we have to teach our children that their bodies belong to them.
Yes.
I have 4 children, and they all know that their bodies belong to them. And I start at 3. I start at 3 as soon as they can talk and walk. This is yours. Nobody has any right to touch it.
Yes.
Nobody.
Especially not in a way that you do not consent to or feel comfortable with.
And when my children tell me they don't want to be touched, I don't touch them.
You know what? Oh my God. I need you to say that again. Say it again so they can hear you loud and clear.
When my children say, Mom, don't touch me, I don't touch them.
Thank you. I want that to sink in. Just hold on. I want that to lay over people. Because there's so many parents out there who believe that their children's bodies are theirs. So when your child tells you not to touch them in a certain way, what do? You
don't touch them. You let that baby be.
Give
them space. That's how you gain their respect. You touching them when they're asking you to stop touching them is teaching them how to allow the next predator to touch them.
Yes.
You are grooming your own children when you're forcing your hands upon them. You're getting them ready for you're making them into prey, basically.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm passionate about it because I was that little girl who wasn't allowed to tell people not to touch me. I was that little girl who was forced hugs and forced on people's laps.
Yes.
I was also that little girl that was, before I was even 6. So, respect your children. Teach them their bodies belong to them. You start teaching them how to wash themselves. You tell them every bath time, we have a talk. What is this? This is yours, right? You don't let nobody touch it. You don't touch nobody else's. This belongs to you. If anybody makes you feel uncomfortable, you let mommy know. And if you can't let mommy know, you tell somebody you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
If a grown-up ever makes you feel uncomfortable, you never have to see that person again. I don't, sorry. I wouldn't care if it was Jesus Christ himself.
Exactly. People be like, oh,
You
but the
never have to see
Savior.
them again.
Yeah. You know what? People, I'm so glad you brought that up because I read this article about a person in church who was giving out holy milk, if you catch my drift, from a place that milk don't come from. And it was supposed to be healing. Yeah, exactly. And in
See,
order to get the milk out, they had to suck.
See, that's how it starts. And you don't know who's a predator. You don't know. And
Exactly.
I mean people who have been prey, they know the energy. The people who haven't, be quiet and learn your children.
Yeah.
If your child's energy is off, get them out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mama,
Yeah,
daddy,
absolutely.
uncle, brother, sister, Jesus, I don't care. If your child's
Yeah.
energy is off, get them out of there. Learn
Yeah.
your children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Learn your
Absolutely.
children.
Absolutely.
I know when my kids are about to lie to me. I know when my kids is about to do something sneaky. I know when my kids have been up to something. I know when my kids is about to argue, fight. I know when they're about to roll over and fart. I know my children. Up,
Yeah.
down, sideways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The
when they're
studio audience is
uncomfortable,
in the background. The studio audience is in the background,
Sorry.
nodding their heads. They like, yes, yes, yes. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They back there like, yeah, They're like,
Sorry. But no,
They feeling what
keep
you're
them
saying,
personal
girl.
body space and all of that, and keep them away from people they say they don't want to be around. Because when you force them to be around that person, and then you find out 20 years later, you basically package delivered your child to the molester.
Yeah.
Tell me you can live with yourself.
Yeah. 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 No, I feel you. I feel you. Thank you
And
so
that's why I think a
much.
lot of people deny it, is because they can't live with the truth that they hand delivered and groomed their children and got them ready to be slaughtered.
Yeah. You know what? That's a
Spiritually.
really good point. That's a good point. Why some people are so dead set against realizing that something could have happened because it happened on their watch. And if it did happen, that means that they are culpable for not protecting their children. So, but thank you.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you, Z. Thank you.
All right, anytime. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Bye.
right. Yeah, you know what? That was a great. That call was great. We're running out of time behind the scenes in the studio audience. So I'm trying to bring up the let's see. All right, here we go. So listen, hey studio audience, wave for everybody. Hey. All right. So who wants to come up? Who wants to come up and speak next? Because we only have 8 more minutes. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Let me see who wants to come up and talk about the subject at hand. Okay, so we have Paula. Who else? Let me see. Paula, let me see how many other people want to speak because we only have a few moments left. Let's see. Who. All right. So Paula, come forward and let us know what you are. Where's Paula? Paula. All right, there you go. Hi.
My mother took her husband that she married side over her own daughter. The only reason why I came out was I broke down in my class. So it happened.
Got
and
you.
he said, "Oh, well, if you tell, they'll put a sign in the yard saying I'm a predator, and how would that make your little brother feel? My half brother, his son." And I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Wow.
I was only.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I was 12 to 14 years old when this was happening.
And so he was putting you in a position to have to try to protect him in case anything happened to him because of this sign in the yard.
He took advantage of the fact that I was young and I didn't. Predators take advantage of your insecurities, what you don't know about, like what things you don't know and haven't learned, and use that against you.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking? You need to listen to the. I guess you're not on the phone, but with the echo, you have to talk to me, not the echo part.
Oh, okay. I'm
This is
sorry.
real time right here.
He was using different techniques to make me not tell. He actually did this to my sister as well, but he didn't R her, but he lured her into a vehicle, and my mother stood there and said, "Why are you taking her somewhere?" And he said, "We'll be right back. I need to talk to her." And he tried to force her
How
to
old was
do
she at the
things.
time? Was she older or younger than you?
My twin, so she was the same age.
Oh, you have a twin. I didn't know that, Paula. Wow. Okay. And so, is he still around?
Yes, he got 9 months probation and slap on the wrist. The justice system in Florida is horrible. They have tons of predators, killers, and people that hide in Florida.
So, wait. So he faced charges for the crimes against whom? You and your sister or other people?
Me. It was felony assault, and some other charges.
So that means
He
that there
got
was evidence then if he got convicted,
yes,
right?
yes, it got pleaded out behind doors. The victim ad litem didn't call me. Her boss called me, so I didn't even know what was going on. And then he got counseling for his abuse that he got as a child, and 9 months counseling and probation. That's it. That's it.
And the relationship with your mother, she's not
Not
still with him, right?
she's trying, quote trying to leave.
What? Wait, hold on. What? Say that again. She's what?
She's quote trying to leave him.
When did he serve this time?
This is back in the 90s.
When you say trying to leave him, she's been trying to leave him since the 90s was 30 years ago, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So she's been trying to leave him for 30 years? And he was
There's always
convicted with evidence. So what are family gatherings like in your place?
She lives in Georgia. My family on my dad's side's up north, so I'm around them. I'm not near.
So you don't. So nobody goes over there. What about her sisters and brothers? People. What?
She doesn't even associate with her own family, so she doesn't even have ties or relationships with her family.
So she chose him. This is. I'm sorry. This is a lot. This is crazy. Thank you so much for sharing. I just saw that you're wearing your knockout earrings too. Pull your hair back. Let me see. Wow, they look so big on you. Those are the 80s, right? Wow. You know what? I appreciate you sharing your story. Thank you so much.
And then, so got jumped in broad daylight. A detective took stuff out for evidence and then called me back and confronted me and said, "I dropped your case because you didn't call me." But I was like, "I need a victim ad litem, and I'm not supposed to call you. You're supposed to call me."
Yeah, you know what? Oh my God. I wish that we had unlimited time to discuss this. Thank you so much, Paula. This needs to be a much broader conversation. I'm glad that we did this Aquaman video. Thank you. I'm gonna move the screen. Self Love says that he has a come forward real quick. We have 90 seconds left before our time runs out on here. So Self Love, come
Okay.
forward. Yeah.
I just wanted to
Quick,
say
quick.
that that basically anybody that's been accosted or been groomed or been preyed on by predators, that it's not your fault, and that you are loved and you are worthy. And a lot of times when that happens, you feel like you're dirty or you're impure or something was wrong with you. Whatever happened to you was not your fault, and you're gonna get past it. So I just want to say that because I was getting emotional because everybody's stories. It's like there's so many people that's been preyed on, and it's like when you have people who want to act like it's not happening or sweep it under the rug, it's infuriating. It infuriates me because it just keeps happening. It's like a perpetual vicious cycle, and kids are getting hurt over and over and
Yeah.
over.
You have
And
to
that's all
sum
I
it
gotta
up.
say.
It's less than 60 seconds now. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That's all I gotta say.
Studio audience, come wave goodbye, everyone. Let me see if I could get the whole screen up. Wave goodbye. Thank you all so much for coming out. We appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. You know what? We're going to stay tuned. I'm going to send you all a message with a new link behind the scenes, and we're going to finish up the conversation privately. I appreciate all of you being brave enough to come out. There's somebody who's posting a link inside of the comments area of a story. You know what? I'm glad that this is posted up. Let's read this. Let's read this. This is the story right here. It's on a channel called NerdBot, right? It's on NerdBot. And we'll read what this says word for word, right? It says Jason Momoa. Let's make this larger so you can see. Here. Jason Momoa, star of the blockbuster DCEU film Aquaman, has recently become the victim of a smear attempt this week over an altered video taken out of context that accuses him of fondling Lolani Momoa, his 11-year-old daughter. The real and unaltered recording, which lasts 7 minutes and 8 seconds, was taken at the Hawaii premiere of his recent hit film Aquaman. In the video, Momoa and his 2 children, Lola and Nakoa Wolf, participated in the ritual dancing known as haka, dedicated to their Polynesian. Oh, you can't see the words I'm reading. I'm sorry. Dedicated to their Polynesian roots, right? This is the second video that I showed. So I'm so glad that you felt so smart to send this, because this I showed in the video. When they say altered, now this person is coming out, oh, he's a part DC Comics Enterprise. An altered video. What they mean by altered is zoomed in. That's what they mean by altered. Zoomed in. I'll show the video here. The unzoomed in. Look, this is it. So this is the video. We'll fast forward to the part of the rubbing. This is what they're saying is the unaltered. This is their proof. The proof. This is it right here. So when you tell me that I have a doctored video, no, the video was altered by cropping and zooming in what people were not speaking on. So let's watch. This is the evidence. Let's watch the evidence that's on NerdBot, that they're showing the unaltered video. Look, that's the rubbing right there. You see when his finger curls up around her breast. She moved his hand. This is their own evidence. This, because the video is 7 minutes long and he goes on to dance the haka with his face and all this other stuff. We see, and if the women are dancing before him, this is the video that they're saying is the original. We showed this in that video. we showed this. We see his hand. We see it. We see it when he begins to rub on her chest. We see it. We see when he starts rubbing in on her chest and when his finger curls up around her bosom. We see it. I'm not saying that what he did was even purposeful. Maybe he was not paying attention. He's caught up in this haka and rubbing. But the girl said she didn't like it. She moved his hand. This is the proof and the evidence that they're showing that that I'm going to get sued over. He fondled her. He was fondling her chest. Show me where this is not a fondle. I don't understand. So because the video was zoomed in, that means what? Let's zoom this in for you all here today. Let's zoom this for you. Let's zoom. And we'll go back. Because people are trying to pretend like we're not seeing what we're seeing. Yeah, his hand is huge. But those fingers, the back two fingers curl up over her bosom. And she did not like it. She did not want that. Look. This is the unaltered video. The uncropped video. And the camera person who saw the rubbing scrolls up to his face. Come on. And Murder Magic is saying, I feel like his fingers are on her tummy. Let me look, we'll go to YouTube, just like we did with the video earlier, and we will make it larger so that we can see his fingers curl. All I'm talking about is appropriate and inappropriate touch. So here, we'll play it again for you all. You see, that's what we're talking about right there. It happens very quickly. It happens very quickly. So if a person puts a video in slow motion so that you can see what's going on when the girl snaps his hand away, and some people are saying to them it looked like he was pretending like he didn't know what he was doing. Let's make it, let's move this so that, hold on. Here. And I want you all to see, because I want you all to see this. I'm going to make it smaller for you all so that we can all see this, right? Because his hand is on his son's chest too. But let's take a look and see whether or not his hand is moving on his son's chest. Do you see a hand moving? Hand not moving on the son's chest. Hand is not moving on the son's chest. I want you to see both of them. Look, I'll make this larger for us. I want you to see that the hand is not moving. We'll see both of them side by side. The hand is not moving on the son's chest. It just so happens to be moving on the daughter's. I rest my case. I rest my case. This is a girl entering into puberty. Is it appropriate to be rubbing upon her bosom at that time? Even if you rubbed her bosom in that way when she was 6, and there were people who came out and said that when they were 6, that men would run their hands up underneath their shirts. There was no bosom there at 6. What were they rubbing for? Is this appropriate touch? These are the conversations. And I am unabashed. I am unabashed I am unabashed in my having these conversations, because it's like people, they love you and they want you to speak up when it's convenient for you to speak up, but only speak up about the things that I want you to speak up about. But no, I'm not an advocate for grown men. I'm not an advocate for the system. I'm an advocate. I am a voice for the voiceless. I advocate for children. I advocate for women who are in a power dynamic in which they are the lesser. I do not advocate for women who are the aggressors in situation in which they are the powerful. And I have stood by that on this channel. There are people who are saying they don't agree with children saying, please don't touch me in that way, and how that's going to backfire on you. No, that includes violence. If your child does not want you to touch them in a certain way, I want you to remember the betrayal that you felt when violence was enacted upon your body, and how after a while, if the violence continued, you relented and gave in to the violence and just allowed whatever the fuck to happen to your body. And remember wishing that your parents were dead. Remember wishing that you were dead when the violence was enacted upon you. Oh, how we forget. But then when your children come around, you want to be like, oh, I'm going to touch my children however the hell I feel like it. You keep on. Because in family court, remember, children get their own lawyers. So you keep on thinking that your child is your property, or that your child's body is yours. Your child's body is not your body. Respect your children's bodies. If they do not consent to be touched in a certain way, do not touch them in that way. And that includes beating. Find another way. Find another way. This is all I'm saying. And my message has been consistent. There's a young lady fighting in the comments right now who told me that she bought my body butters. That's how long she's been rocking with me. And so she started telling me that I'm the one who got this attitude, but she cannot show. She's talking about my sarcasm. Meanwhile, she's reading words and assigning, projecting her own voice. She's in the comments right now. I saw people saying they wanted to block her because she was so suspect in the comments. Honey, I don't know what you're going through. And if you bought my butters back in the days, our transaction is done. You got what you paid for. You wanted some butters. I gave you butters that you paid for. And you used those butters to clear up your skin. Our business is done. I do not owe you allegiance or me to be a puppet marionetted by the control of $40 that you spent 7 years ago. TKO Skin has been closed since 2014. We are in 2022. In 2 years, it will be 10 years since I closed my business. So you bought some creams 10 years ago, and you think that now I'm going to be beholden to you, marionetted by the 10, 15, 20, or $40 that you spent 10 years ago to get your skin cleared. Honey, no. I am going to speak up, and I'm going to use my voice, because when all is said and done, I asked this young lady, which side of history do you want to be on? I'm going to be on the side of history that defends children, even if it leads me into the court. I shall be the defender of children, especially children whom no one else is looking out for. Let me see. I just got an apple in. I'm trying to open it up now. Let me refresh. I appreciate you all. I haven't accepted. I didn't get any apples all day. I even forgot to put it up on the screen because we've been so engulfed in this conversation. So it looks like T has sent $10 on the apple. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate the love. Thank you. Thank you. And if there's anybody who doesn't want their apple read on the air, you can always send apples when we're off air. The link is in the description. It's $Tanya TKO. All right. On that note, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you all so much for coming out. Go out there and love one another. I'll put on a little music as we go out. Listen. All right. Go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself is standing for what you believe in, even if you stand alone. You know what? Yes. Stand for what you believe in, even if you stand alone. That's our lesson today. Hey, hey, hey. Stand for what you believe in, even if no one else stands with you. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. Stand for what you believe in. That's the lesson of today. So, what is your self-love lesson from today's video? Because people will try. They'll try to keep you silent, but no. I will not be silent. Hey, you cannot hush me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself is standing up for what you believe in, even if you stand alone. I would rather stand and be chopped down by those, but know that I stood, than to chop myself down before I even stand out of fear for what other people will say. You cannot silence me. You cannot silence me. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I will see you all in the next video. And to the people from the studio audience who are part of the text notification squad, I've told you about the text notification squad. It's $1.99 a month or $22 for the year if you're in the United States. If you're abroad, it is $50 for the year or $4.99 a month. And that covers the charges to be able to send the text, and all of the other perks come along with it at my complement. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you all in the next video. Tanya TKO, and I am out.